Social Relations 1 by Aubrey Coplin, Liberty University, Psychology 512. In this presentation, I will discuss the readings for the week, including the articles by Rand and Leary, the themes including attraction, need to belong, helping others, equity theory, and close relationships, and concluding statements including 2 questions. In his 9th chapter on attraction and close relationships, Kassan et al. Discussed 3 major themes, including need to belong, a fundamental human motive, which will be explained in slide 10, the initial attraction, explained in slide 9, and close relationships, explained in slide 12. In his 10th chapter on helping others, Kassan et al. Discussed the evolutionary and motivational factors, situational factors, personal influences, and interpersonal influences as to why we help people. And this is explained further in slide 10. In his 7th chapter on evaluating fairness, critical assessment of equity theory, Shadi discusses equity theory in depth, which will be explained in depth in slide 10. When studying why people sometimes display strong emotional reactions to events that sometimes appear disproportionate to the tangible magnitude of the event, results of this study showed that perceptions of social change rule violations accounted for more variance in participants' reactions than the tangible consequences of the event. This finding actually supported the hypothesis made by the researchers that responses that appear disproportionate to the seriousness of the eliciting event are often fueled by perceived rule violations that may not be obvious to others. Research done by Rand et al. Sought to answer the question of, are humans intuitively altruistic, or does altruism require self-control? In the meta-analysis performed by the researchers, evidence found that women do behave more altruistically and are more punished for failing to be altruistic to a much greater extent than men are. Furthermore, the more women describe themselves using traditionally masculine attributes such as dominance or independence relative to traditionally feminine attributes such as warmth or tenderness, the more deliberation reduced their altruism. This study was important because it illustrated the connection between gender and altruism, as well as showed the importance of social heuristics in human pro-sociality. The first theme that we'll be discussing is the theme of attraction. First, we will be discussing beauty. Beauty is a social asset, and typically attractive people are more popular, socially skilled, more sexually experienced, but typically they're not generally more happy or have higher self-esteem than the general population. Furthermore, when we think about beauty, we want to think about what kind of traits make someone beautiful. And often, beauty is actually in the eye of the beholder and influenced by different cultures and cultural contexts. However, people with some types of features, such as having a symmetrical face from left to right, are considered more attractive across the board. Next, the first step of attraction, which would be getting acquainted to someone. Often in a situation like that, people tend to like others who are very similar to themselves, such as similar in backgrounds, attitudes, interests, values, or levels of physical attractiveness. Lastly, there are different patterns of attraction by gender, such as how men typically seek out women who are young and attractive, who have attributes to signal health and fertility, while women typically seek out men who are older with financial security or attributes predictive of future success. The second theme for discussion is a need to belong. Humans do have an innate fundamental motive or pervasive drive to maintain lasting relationships. we do have an innate need to be with each other. And although people differ in the strength of affiliation needs, people who are painfully shy can suffer from loneliness in a very strong rate. And that can be a really, really unhealthy state for having people around us is something that keeps us mentally and also physically healthy. Another extremely important theme for this week is the theme of helping others. Among factors that help promote the evolution of altruism and empathy are kin selection, in which individuals protect their own genes by helping close relatives, reciprocal altruism, in which those who give also receive, and their survival advantages of intergroup cooperation and caring for offspring. Helping others can have many benefits for the helper as well, as it can make us feel better, it can relieve negative feelings such as guilt, and it can improve our mental and physical health. Long-term or high-risk helping, such as helping someone that may put you at risk, however, can be costly to health and well-being of the helper. Another important theme about helping others is the empathy altruism hypothesis, which states that taking the perspective of a person perceived to be in need creates the other-oriented emotion of what is known as empathic concern, and this in turn produces some sort of altruistic motive within us to reduce the person's distress. Our mood can also increase how helpful we actually are. For having a good mood often increases helpfulness, while having a bad mood may increase or decrease helpfulness depending on the context of the mood in the situation. Another important fact to note about helping others is that if we have pro-social role models or pro-social influence around us, it actually increases our own helping behaviors. Lastly, when concerned with helping others, there are a lot of individual differences that predict helping behaviors, and these include agreeableness, humility, advanced moral reasoning, and especially empathy. Furthermore, attractive individuals and members of one's in-groups are more likely to receive help than those who are less attractive or members of an out-group. The idea of equity theory is discussed by both Casson and Chadi. Equity theory describes how people seek not only to maximize benefits and minimize losses in their relationships, but to ensure that the ratio of benefits to costs are equivalent for both partners. Casson, 2017, page 406. Basically, equity theory describes that people are motivated by fairness. As long as we're fair to each other, it helps us to form closer relationships. The final theme to be discussed is about close relationships. The first sub-theme is that we must distinguish passionate love from companionate love. Passionate love is more of an intense, emotional, and often erotic state of love, while companionate love is a less intense but deeper and more endearing type of love. There are many biological and developmental theories of the origins of homosexual orientation. However, interestingly, homosexual behaviors in men is higher than incidences of homosexual behavior in women. Lastly, it is important to note marital satisfaction over time. Longitudinal studies of couples have indicated while there's an average decline in satisfaction over time, until relationships stabilize, marital satisfaction is influenced by many extraneous factors. These can include children, economics, and patterns of conflict and communication. To conclude my presentation, I just want to state that it is important to have these close relationships. It is important for us to help one another, to form bonds, for this can help not only our mental health and us get through the day-to-day world and our day-to-day struggles, but it can also help our physical health, and it can also be really contagious to those around us. My first question is, according to Casson et al., studies have shown that men and women look for common attributes when picking someone to form a romantic relationship with. Based on what you know about the factors contributing to initial attraction and mate selection, and citing at least one of the readings, what advice would you give to a young adult who is seeking a mate with a strong Christian faith? Identify a helpful passage from the Bible, cite a book, chapter, and verse that you would share with someone seeking a Christian mate. My second question is, according to Casson et al. And explained by Sade, equity theory affirms the idea that all over the world, people are most content when the ratio between what they get out of a relationship, or benefits, and what they put into it, or contributions, is similar for both partners. Casson et al., 2017, page 386. Discuss how your personal experience and observations lead you to either believe or not to believe that this theory, for the most part, is applicable to real-world scenarios. Cite a research study that supports your position. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys are doing well through all this.